Well, I'm excited to talk to you about this new show on Syfy that you are on, called The Ark, which just premiered basically a week and a half ago. But before we get into that, let's just do a little background kind of, origin story on you. When you were a kid, did you have a favorite movie that you watched over and over again?
Yes, I did actually. I loved Shrek. And I cannot tell you how many times I've watched this movie when I was a kid anyway. I think I watched it like 20 dozen times. I
Yeah,
loved it so
Shrek's funny. Shrek's very funny. Do you quote the
much.
line still from the movie at all?
Oh no, no, I don't. I cannot remember the last time I watched it, but it was years ago. So no, probably when I was a child, I would have been able to do that, but not anymore.
So you're from Manchester, England, and tell me a little bit about, like, when did you decide that you thought acting would be fun to do?
So when I was a child, as far as I can remember, I was 9 years old and I went to my mother and I said, I want to be an actress. I started to research all of the acting schools in Manchester and I was like, I found this school and I believe it was called Stagecoach. And it was very expensive. So she was like, okay, wait till you're a little bit older, then we can see what we can do about it. In the end, I've forgotten about it. So when I was around 17 years old, I applied for an agency called Nemesis in Manchester and I was like a TV extra. So that was kind of like my dabble into the field. And yeah, that was wonderful. That was great.
So just an opportunity to be on set and kind of just, background extra, you're just kind of filling in the spaces and stuff, and you're being around the actors and kind of watching what they did. Did you love that experience? Was it fun to, like, kind of like just see how everything worked?
I loved it so much. And if I had stayed in Manchester, I definitely would have trained then, would have found an academy, done acting classes, and then pursued this new career. However, I left Manchester. After I finished university, me and my friends left and we went to Barcelona and we stayed there for 3.5 years. Then I moved to Austria. I stayed there for 3 years. And yeah, now I'm here in Belgrade.
Yeah, and you actually speak German, don't you?
I speak German, yeah. I learned the B2 level. I was there for a little while. And
Yeah.
normally, when people from the UK go to another country, it's so easy for us to work in English, to make friends with people in English. So you don't always have the need to learn another language. So I thought, you know what? It would be interesting to learn another language. And I feel like learning languages adds value to you. So yeah, it was an interesting experience.
Let's talk a little bit about the arc. Tell me the premise of the show.
Yeah, so basically, the arc is set 100 years into the future, and we are supposed to be asleep for a certain amount of time. And unfortunately, we wake up 1 year early because our arc ship has had like an accident. We had an accident, so there's a crash. And basically, we start running out of food, water, oxygen. The people who are supposed to run the ship, we lose them. So now we have a fight who is going to be the leader, and that's just how that's how the act begins.
Yeah. And the cast, I mean, the cast, from what I can tell from watching the show, it looks like it's about 140 people or something, right? It's kind of that amount of people that survived this incident, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
And tell me a little bit about the character you play. What does she do? Like, what are some of the things they have you do on the show? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the character I played, Naomi, she's basically a scientist on the ship. So the whole time you will find Naomi in the workers' room. So you'll see her the whole time, like on the computers, trying to sort out some many problems that we have
Yeah,
with
yeah.
the other castmates as well.
So this is interesting because you were not trying to you know look out for acting roles and things like this. You came to this show in a little bit of a different way. It kind of found you, right?
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about how that happened.
Yeah, so I came to Serbia last year, January, on holiday. And I have a friend called Una. She has a designer shop in Belgrade called Fab Living by Una. And it was the anniversary of her shop. So I went to this anniversary party, and Ivana Vasic was there. And Ivana Vasic, she's a costume designer on the Ark. She also did the costume design for Outpost as well.
She's
And she
great.
saw me and she was like, "What is your name? You would be perfect for the Ark." And I'm like, "What is the Ark?" So she told me a little bit about it. She told me that Jonathan English was her husband. He's a director also for the Ark. And she was like, "What are you interested in?" So I said, "I would love to be an actress." She was like, "Perfect. I have a great friend who is called Adam Davenport. He owns a school called the International Acting Studio in Belgrade. And he's the only teacher, actually, in Eastern Europe who teaches the Ivana Chubbuck technique. So, like people like Brad Pitt, for example, Halle Berry learned the Ivana Chubbuck technique. So I started going to classes with him. And Ivana Vasic's husband, Jonathan, he owns an agency for actors and directors here in Belgrade, Serbia. So they added me to the agency. And I would say around 2 weeks later, I got a phone call with an audition for the ARC. So I prepared for it with my acting coach, Adam Davenport. And 2 weeks after that, I got a phone call, which was on Friday. And he said, "Jessica, you've got the role. How soon can you be in Serbia?" So I said, "I'll see you on Monday morning." And I packed up all of my things and I just
Yeah.
moved to Belgrade.
Oh, where were you before you moved there?
I was in Vienna,
Oh,
Vienna,
you're in
Austria.
Vienna. Vienna. Okay, got it, got it. So you did actually have to make a move to get there.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Well, tell me a little bit about that's interesting. Tell me a little bit about this about Adam's acting school that he has there. This is the intention is for because he sounds like he's American. It sounds like with that
He's
name.
American, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. How long has he had that school there?
2 years. It was a two
Oh,
year
okay.
anniversary a couple of weeks ago, actually.
Okay.
With the
And he
school.
and he is he teaching people there just to prepare for like American films and English speaking films? I mean, I guess it applies to non speaking English speaking films as well, but is the intention then to kind of help prepare for those types of productions that come
All productions in general, all
in general?
productions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's
Well,
for
I just
everybody.
yeah, I assume because he's American, he's teaching the classes in English, I'm assuming. That's why I'm
Yeah.
asking that question. Okay, yeah. Well, that's very cool. Was that now you're still part of that program and in that class, I'm assuming.
Oh, yes, definitely. I don't have any intentions to leave these acting classes. It's a great way to, because they say acting is like a muscle. So, for example, basketball players, when they train before the big game, they have to train for the whole year. So, it's the same with acting. So, we
Yeah.
have, it's like different levels. We have beginner lessons and like advanced, but everybody's in the same class, which is
Yeah.
also great as well. You can learn a lot.
Now, it's different experience for everybody, of course. But for you, what do you find to be the most challenging part of acting, do you think?
Really good question. The most challenging thing, I would
Yeah.
say, being extremely vulnerable. Like, I didn't
Okay.
realize that acting is like therapy. It's a form of therapy, especially with the Ivana Chubbuck technique. I had no idea that I would have to channel, like, maybe some childhood traumas or in general things that have happened in life and put it into my work. So I think sometimes, like, when you're in a new place with like people in class, like, you think to yourself, can I really go there? But thankfully, Adam Davenport, my coach, sometimes you can go into like a private area where you can really speak openly about it if you don't feel confident. So I would say that would be the most challenging part. But usually I enjoy being vulnerable. Like the more vulnerable you are, the more you can add to your work.
That's great. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because some actors are really good at line memorization. Some are very good at blocking and continuity. Others are very good at action. But there's just everybody has their Achilles heel. There's that thing that they're just like there's this one thing that I'm trying to develop more. That's just I'm very self aware of it as an actor, and now I'm trying to develop that. So it's interesting that that's the thing that you're focusing a lot of your attention on and trying to develop. That skill or that muscle, as you say, to get better at that. So now that you're thrown into the deep end, and you're now on this big sci-fi show, The Ark, with all of these people and everything. Did you find it intimidating on day one at all?
I was like, the night before, I did not sleep. I tried to sleep. I went to bed on time and I just couldn't sleep. I was so nervous. I didn't
Right.
show it though.
Yeah.
Like, now that I made friends with everybody, they were like, "Jessica, you were so confident on your first day." I was like, no, I was dying inside. I was so nervous. And everything, it was just like the fear of the unknown. I didn't know what to expect, actually.
Yeah. Well, it's like you were acting even when you weren't acting. You're like, "Oh no, I'm cool. This is easy. I can do this." That's good. Nobody could tell that it was like you were just starting out in your professional acting career. They couldn't figure it out. So that's good.
No.
That's good. This set, I would imagine this set is quite expansive with all these hallways and pieces. Do you ever walk into the set and at first and get like a little lost, like which way do I go? Or is it broken up enough that you can pretty much know where you are at all times?
Oh, there's been so many times where all of us have got lost. Like
Yeah.
maybe we had like a toilet break or a little quick break, and then we'd see each other passing on the corridor. Like, Jessica, do you know how to get to the green room? I'm like, follow me. I'm not sure myself. Or we would find like an AD and we're like, how do we get to the green room? I need water. Because sometimes, even though the set was pre-built, sometimes for different scenes, they would change a few things. So each time it would change, we would be lost. It was like a little maze.
After, obviously, what did you guys do? Like 12 episodes of the show?
12 episodes, yeah.
I'm sure by episode 12, you had it down pat. You knew exactly where everything was. But that first episode, you probably were literally lost in space, I'm guessing. So.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's the cast is quite big. There's a lot of people in this cast. Obviously different personalities, everybody's just different. Some actors just work different than others. One of the things that's great for you, well, it's great for any actor, is the ability to observe other actors. The good traits they have, the bad traits. And as you watch, I'm sure you pick up things like, oh, I like this actor, how they do this. And I like what they're doing there, and I'm going to put that in my tool bag, in my toolkit, if you will. The same thing for me as a director, as I work with different actors, or even when I'm a cinematographer and I work with different directors, I see things that people do that I go, okay, that's something that I'm going to do. And then you see other things that people do, and you're like, okay, that is something I'm not going to embrace, or that's something I'm never going to do. Right? We don't have to throw out any names here, of course, but I'm assuming with the cast the size that it is, you're seeing all kinds of different behaviors and techniques and skills, and all that's being mixed together. And I'm assuming you're absorbing a lot of that. Is that the experience you're having here on this show?
Definitely. I think everything, because I was literally on ground zero. So everything for me, I learned so much. And not even just from the actors, but how to behave in front of the camera, the directors, like all of
Yeah.
the technical language as well, from
Yeah.
literally from A to Z. I was just like a sponge, like, okay,
Yeah.
take, absorb, absorb, absorb.
Yeah. Let's do this. Tell me one thing, if you can think of this quickly. Tell me one thing that you saw on set that you loved that somebody did, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, that's so brilliant! I love that. I'm gonna use that." Can you think? I know I'm putting you on the spot, but can you think of something, a moment, or one of the actors did that you're just like, "That's just brilliant. That's just brilliant," and that's something that I want to learn more about or use when I get other roles.
Yeah, I think it would be there was a scene with Christy Burke, and in this scene, everybody was in complete panic and chaos because we were losing oxygen, we were losing people as well. And she was so vulnerable. It was incredible. And that's one thing that I'm learning as well. Like, if you're in a scene or in a situation, you have to look at the other actors, and you can, they can make you feel things as well. Because I remember she said that she looked at one other cast member, and she said the look in her eyes just moved her, and she just began to cry. So I think for me, it's allowing other people to move me as well, and to use them as a tool.
Now that you've gone through the 12 episodes of season 1 of this cool show, if you were to go back in time, talk to your space travel, let's say, right? Go through some kind of leap and go back to the beginning of the show and talk to yourself. What do you wish, or what would you have told yourself on day 1 of the show? Okay, Jessica, here's a few tips I'm going to give you about this experience you're going to go through for the next 12 episodes. Here are some things you should develop. Here's some things you should work on. Here's some things you should worry about, shouldn't worry about. What advice would you give yourself?
I think for day 1, because of course the first day for me was the first day I've ever been on set as a cast member, as an actress for a big show. It would be just don't worry about anything. Don't have any anxiety. Don't be stressed, even though these feelings are normal, and just shine. Like you have been given this role for a reason. You deserve to be here. So don't have imposter syndrome, for example. Just do it, and just, yeah, continue to shine, I would say. That's the only thing. I would tell myself on the first day.
I think that's
But
great.
thankfully, I think after the first week, I'd loosened up,
Yeah.
and then all the worries just melted away.
What's your favorite thing about the show?
My favorite thing about this show.
Yeah.
So one of my favorite things about this show is the set. So it's really nice to see that they put so much effort into the set. It looks incredible. And they didn't really use much of a green room, only of course the CGI they needed for that. Everything else was physically built. Everything
Yeah.
was tangible. So they put so much effort into that, and I feel like it really shows when you watch the series as well.
Now everybody's kind of wearing somewhat different colors and things like that, but you all have these kind of spacesuits on. They're kind of, I don't want to say they're spandex because that's not really what they are, but they look kind of like futuristic wetsuits, if you will.
Yeah.
Are they comfortable to wear, miserable to wear, hard to move in? Tell me about the outfit.
They were just a little bit uncomfortable. Like
Yeah.
when we did the Facebook Live after the first screening last week, one of the fans asked Dean Devlin like to ask us like what was it like being in the spacesuits? And my reply was going to the toilet was extremely difficult. It was not easy because you had to pull it all down and then you had like undergarments on as well. So it was a little bit stressful. And I always felt like I had to like stand up straight with my back straight and suck in my stomach in because you could see everything. You were just so
Right.
exposed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thankfully we didn't have to wear the suits for too long.
Yeah. Yeah. All of a sudden you're like, you know what? I need to go to the gym every day, twice.
Yeah. And not eat too much at dinner time.
Yeah. I have this funny feeling when season 2 comes out, everyone's going to look a lot more fit than season 1. Not that they didn't look fit already, but I'm just saying, like, all of a sudden, everyone's like, wow, everybody's looking a lot more fit this season, because it's going to be like a contest to see who looks the best in their outfit. So, anyway,
Definitely.
that's funny. Well, let's talk a little bit. I want to ask you a little bit about the directors because on a TV series, as most people know, you don't get one director. It's not a movie where you're 3 weeks, 6 weeks, 3 months, whatever, with just one person kind of leading the charge. You're dealing with a handful of different directors. So yeah, tell me a little bit about what it was like to work with the different directors and the different directing styles for you as a newer actor.
Yeah, it was really interesting. For example, I loved working with Dean. He had a vision and he was such a perfectionist in a positive way. He knew what he wanted and he didn't stop until he got that, which is, yeah, really great. And I also really loved Sandra. And I think the reason why I loved Sandra Mitrovic is because sometimes she would kind of like ask the actors, what would you think about this? What do you think about this? Like, would this seem natural? Would this achieve our goal? So I like it when directors involve you in the process of making some decisions. I think that's quite great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's like a nice, beautiful collaboration.
So, not sure when they're starting season 2 of the show, but obviously you're still doing the acting classes and things like that. And I'm sure now that because you've had this experience on the Ark, you're hoping to do other films and other shows and things like that. So you're doing self-tape and auditioning, right, for other projects as well?
Yeah, I am. So last year was quite a great year actually.
Yeah.
So after filming the Ark, I got a role for a Turby and CB um, show, which was great. Unfortunately, I can't talk about it, but I had a small role in that, I would say like a nice speaking role. So that was nice. That was really nice.
That's very
And the
cool.
last project I did finished in December 2022, and that was for a project called Sybil. And that was very interesting because when I saw the script, it said that they were looking for somebody from Manchester who is bubbly and funny. And I thought, wow, that sounds a lot like me. So I could just basically be myself. So that was awesome to work with. And the cast of that were mainly like female dominant, actually.
Okay.
So it was really an interesting experience to work on a project like that.
That's very
Yeah.
cool. So as you move forward with the kind of these kind of film projects and so forth, are there kinds of roles that you would love to do specifically? Do you gravitate to something more than others?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question. I'll have to think about that for a little bit.
Like, I mean, if they did a live action version of Shrek, would you want to do that?
Maybe not.
That's
Maybe
meant to
not.
that's
Child.
meant to be a joke. That's meant to be a joke.
Maybe childhood Jess would say yes, but no.
No, okay. But I mean, do you,
Yeah,
yeah, I was gonna say, do you think you lean more to something a little more serious or something a little bit more light, like the project you just worked on? Like, where do you feel? Where's your happy place? Do you think right now, at least at this point in your career?
yeah, I would say maybe two directions. I wouldn't mind going into something more like comedy. That would be interesting.
Yeah,
And maybe like a drama series where I have like a really serious, like powerful female character. I think
yeah.
that would be really great.
Well, let me ask you this question before we wrap up. When you are not acting, if you could not, if acting was not an option, unfortunately, what would you spend your time doing? What's your other passion unrelated to acting?
My other passion apart from acting. So before I started acting, I was actually a teacher. So for example, an English teacher. So if I wasn't an actor, maybe I would open up my own school to teach people how to speak English, but not just like your bog standard classes, but maybe like acting classes or like storytelling classes, improvisation classes, so you can really immerse yourself into the English language. I think that would be really nice.
That's really
Really
great.
nice.
All right,
Yeah.
now you need to give me a tip. All right, Miss Jessica,
Okay.
you need to tell me, like, so this Adam's acting class or just any preparation that you're doing yourself to continue to get better and develop your skills as an actor. Is there a podcast you listen to, a documentary or a website that you look at, or a wonderful book that you've read that really has been a benefit to you outside, of course, of taking Adam's class?
I would say the Ivana Chubbuck technique. So, as an actor, I think buy that book. It's amazing. It literally breaks down how to analyze a script, how to use techniques in whole 12 steps. So, if you apply each of those tools into your acting, it will just transform your performance
Awesome.
by far.
Tell me one more time, what is the name of the book?
The Ivana Chubbuck technique.
Excellent. Awesome. Well, thank you for that tip. I appreciate it. It's been fun to talk to you. It's been great.
Oh, thank you.
And I got to tell you, you have like one of the best names ever. I mean, Jessica Yemi just says like, that's a very, you can't forget that name. So you have an awesome, awesome name. So just your name alone is going to open up doors for you. Be like, I got to meet this Yemi lady. I mean, she sounds great. I mean, who doesn't like the word Yemi? So anyway, all right. My last question for you, Jessica, is where can people find you on social media if they want to see what you're up to and follow your journey and interact with you? Where are you?
So, everybody, you can follow me on Instagram. My handle is Jessica Yemi.
It's that simple, guys. It's that simple.
Yeah.
All right, Jessica, thank you so much for visiting with me today. It's been an honor to talk to you.
Thank you so much for inviting me onto your show. I've had a great experience. It's been wonderful. Thank you again.